Hello, my name is Nancy Morrow. I'm the Executive Director of the McMinnville Short Film Festival. Welcome to our 10th annual McMinnville Short Film Festival. It looks a little different this year. We're coming to you instead of you coming to us. But it's the same films, the top quality films that you've come to know and expect year after year. They are still with us. So 10 years, how the heck did that happen? Well, let's take a little walk down memory lane and see what that looks like. So in 2011, my husband and I owned a local video store, and through that venture, we launched the McMinnville Short Film Festival. Given we are set in the heart of Oregon wine country, we will neither admit nor deny that wine may have contributed to that decision. We started out in 2011 in the gymnasium of our local community center, showing 17 films from our local filmmakers. And then in 2012, we moved to the Gallery Theater, which is our community theater here in McMinnville, but we even outgrew that. Then in 2014, we moved to our local cinema complex where we've been showing the films on the big screen since. We truly hope to return there in 2022 in person. Let us not revisit 2020. The other big change that has helped with our successful growth is moving our festival from the October timeframe to February. It does mean it might snow, but then we might get sun and mild weather, but then it might snow, so welcome to Oregon. We've been honored to have industry speakers such as Will Vinton be keynote speakers for us. For those of you who may not know, Will Vinton was born and raised in McMinnville, and after attending the festival, he graciously lent his name to our Will Vinton Award for Best Animation. One of the special parts of this festival are the relationships we create with filmmakers who return year after year, including D.M. Mayer, who was with us in 2016 with his film Chateau Sauvignon Terroir and is back this year with The Hobbyist. We continue to partner with local businesses and wineries to provide fun experiences for the filmmakers, and we look forward to returning to those partnerships in person in 2022. We are so grateful for all the local support the businesses have shown over the years. It has truly been an amazing 10 years, and we have met some pretty amazing people during that time, and we look forward to meeting even more. So what exactly is a virtual festival? Well, a virtual festival just means we're coming to you. Wherever you get the internet, we're coming to you instead of you coming to us and being here in person. And you'd be surprised at how much work a virtual festival takes. Those filmmaker Q&As that we often do after a screening in person, I will not take those for granted again. Scheduling those in advance so we can pre-record them and have them available to you this year took a lot of work, but we got to talk to 90 of our 127 filmmakers across 7 days and recorded 13 filmmaker Q&As. It was a lot of fun, a lot of work. Please watch those Q&As. They have a lot of great information to share. The other part that's very challenging is the technical part. You may be watching right now on your cell phone, iPad, desktop, laptop, smart TV, dumb TV, we don't know. And every one of you is accessing the internet a different way. So the main thing to know here with the virtual festival is we are all in this together. We are here to support you. No question is too big, too small, too silly, too serious. Ask questions, get answers. Let us help you make the most of the experience. We kind of view it as if we're on the Oregon Trail and there's a little bit of a path out there, but really there's not much and we're fumbling along. We're all fumbling together with a virtual film festival. So let's talk about the schedule. The schedule is the next big question that people ask about. They want to know, are all the films available at the same time? And the simple answer is no. We have taken the films and put them into blocks or screenings, anywhere from 5 or 6 films to 15 films. And they range from 65 to 70 minutes to 115 minutes. And then we schedule those on different days. So for example, the Native American screening is available this Saturday, this Sunday, the 20th, and runs through, my dates are getting mixed up, Saturday through the 22nd. You will have those 3 days to watch those films. What happens if you don't get them watched? Well, one little trick is if you really can't watch during those 3 days, at least unlock or start the screening before they expire, and then you've just gained yourself another 48 hours. Again, let us know what your questions are. There's a lot of information. So let's get to our guests. We have a lot of great guests today. First, though, I want to thank our board of directors. Without our board of directors, we would not be here. Holly Wagner is our chair. Leanne Jones is our treasurer. Ray Nomoto Robinson, Stephen Long, and then my partner, my co-founder, my husband, and your film festival technical director, Dan Morrow. He is the reason we are on this virtual festival. He got all the films uploaded and did all the testing, and he will continue to do that. So I cannot be here without him, and I could not do this without our board. But we have a couple of guests here with us in person too. First, I would like to introduce Jordan Mercier of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde. The tribe have been sponsors of the film festival since 2016, and in 2020 partnered with us to bring the Native American screening to the film festival. And that screening entails either a Native American filmmaker created the film, or they are creating films that foster the understanding of the culture, traditions, and contemporary issues of Native Americans. The tribe also present the Shawash Ilahi Award to the Best Native American Film. Jordan, welcome.
L'chaim, twach il'i tilachem. Masipas munkpus na chagu yakwa paswawakabum saiga. Hi, everybody. I was saying hello, all you internet people out there. It feels really good to be here. Thanks, Nancy, for having me.
Well, it's great to have you. If you could talk a little bit about what it means for the tribe to partner with the film festival and what the Shawash Ilahi Award means.
Yeah. Well, this is my first year getting to be involved personally. And I know from the tribal perspective here, you know, it's being involved is just kind of showing, you know, the community of McMinnville that our people are still here in this land that, you know, is now known as McMinnville in Yamhill County in Oregon, and that we're not very far away, and that we really care about what goes on in our traditional territory. And also, we really appreciate the opportunity to help support, you know, and lift up the arts, and especially, you know, Indigenous voices in the film industry. Art is a very important part of our culture and history. So we're very thankful, you know, to be a partner in this film festival and to support these efforts.
Well, you were one of the judges, and so you've seen the films. What did you think?
You know, I was blown away. I really can't speak words to it, you know, to do it justice, but each and every film, you know, in this category, it was a pleasure to experience for me. And I was just really blown away by the depth and weight, you know, of the stories that are being told. And I was deeply inspired by these voices and stories that are on these films, and just the way that the directors, you know, put those stories across, you know, using film. And I think that the stories are very relevant and relatable, at least for me personally, but I think they're very important to tell. They're important for the broader, you know, community and society to hear about how nuanced, you know, the Native American communities are and how diverse they are, and the different issues and experiences that our people have. So I really think that telling these stories and the way these directors have, and the people that are in these films that are telling their stories, by them putting this across and putting this out there, it's making a better world, you know, for Indigenous people. And I just want to lift my hands up, you know, to all the people, you know, that worked on these films and that put part of themselves into these films, you know, for doing that. And I'm just very proud of everybody for making this happen. So just want to say hayu masi paskanu yektum saiga munk. And I'm just saying, you know, thank you very much for all the work that's gone into this, and Nancy, for you and your team making the festival happen in these unprecedented circumstances that we're in.
Thank you. Well, we truly appreciate the partnership we have with you, and just the growth from last year to this year has been tremendous with the films, and they really are beautiful films. I do hope people tune in. So thank you for joining us today, Jordan, and do tune in. Native American screening is February 20th through the 22nd. So we have another partner. Ramsey McPhillips is here with us from Zero Waste McMinnville. Ramsey is the founder and the president of Zero Waste McMinnville, and they are helping bring our environmental films to the McMinnville Film Festival. Welcome, Ramsey.
Hello.
So what does it mean to Zero Waste McMinnville to partner with the film festival and showcase these films?
We know our mission to make McMinnville the first city in Oregon to become zero waste, meaning that we will find ways to keep things out of landfills, is really an educational messaging organization. And so the films that are in this category run that same gamut of trying to tell stories with a purpose. And I think that purpose is, some of it's just utilitarian, but some of it's just so heartfelt that the environment's not doing very well. And it's not doing very well because of the human condition. And it just really needs the humans then to band together and do something constructive to keep things from deconstructing any further. And so our partnership is just so natural with the film festival, because you're the artists and the storytellers, the messengers that we really want to cameo in our pursuit of becoming zero waste.
Well, you got to judge the films. You also got to moderate the filmmaker Q&A. What did you think of the films?
They ran the gamut. I mean, you know, some of them were really hilarious. Some of them just so heartfelt. Some of them were so technically tight. I mean, I just was really blown away by the editing of some of the films. I've made a number of films myself, and I know how difficult just that aspect alone of filmmaking, just the quality was amazing. And, you know, you can go to that block and watch the films, and I guarantee you none of you will push forward. Each film is so unique. You're going to want to watch each one from beginning to end. There's no repetition. It's just so diverse, so interesting.
I agree. I think they are a great block of films, and yet this is another category that has grown tremendously since we started it. I think it was 2 years ago. So Ramsey, thank you for partnering with us. You'll hear more from Ramsey. He will do a little intro to the environmental block, just like Jordan will for the Native American block. Thank you for partnering with us. And the environmental films kick off tonight at 6 o'clock. So as soon as we're done with our opening night, you can jump on and start watching those films.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks, Ramsey. So now we come to the guests of honor. This film festival has always focused on the filmmakers themselves, and they are our guests of honor every year. We have selected 12 filmmakers to join us today, with our first one coming to us live from Northeast England, so it's very late for him over there. I hope he stays awake. Chris Austen is here with us. His film is 33 Floors, and it will be screening in the Suspense Horror Sci-Fi Block number 1 on February 23rd through the 25th. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Nancy. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about your background as a filmmaker, and what specifically do you like about sci-fi?
Sure. Well, just before I get started, let me just say thank you so much for including our film in the festival and rising to the challenge of hosting this virtual festival. I know it's no easy thing to do, so thank you. And it's even more special that it's the 10th anniversary. So really thrilled to be here. So yeah, my background as a filmmaker. So I've always loved films. And like many filmmakers, I was inspired heavily by the films that I grew up with. And that was, you know, in the sort of late 80s and 90s. So, you know, the films were like Independence Day and Jurassic Park and these sort of epic blockbuster movies that really I always saw as kind of rocket fuel for the imagination, really. And I just fell in love with these epic concept-driven stories that were just simply out of this world. And I've always really been attracted to filmmaking because of the fact that you can make any world that you want, and the power of the medium to get across a message and to explore strange new worlds. And really you can do anything and go anywhere. And that is a theme that hopefully is present in our film, 33 Floors.
So give us a brief synopsis of this film and tell us what was the inspiration behind the film?
So the film is a short film about a young woman, a career-driven woman, a young professional who is very technologically dependent. She's always on her smartphone, plugged into some sort of smart device in one way or another, and she's become a little bit disconnected from the real world in a sense. And our film starts with her becoming broken down in an elevator. She's trapped in a broken down elevator, and so she's disconnected from that outside world, both physically and through the technology that she's come to rely on. And the film is very much about her struggle to get out of the elevator, and in her desperate attempts to get out, she ends up making the situation 10 times worse. And she discovers that technology can be a dangerous thing. So the themes are very much about human nature and about our relationship with technology, and there's some kind of twists in there as well, which hopefully will keep people on the edge of their seats.
Well, let's take a look at the trailer for 33 Floors.
Good morning. 28th floor. Minor technical difficulties. Please take the next elevator. Do not be alarmed.
Chris, I personally watched this film about 2 or 3 times, and I strongly recommend to our audience to at least watch it twice. Tell us what were some of the challenges you faced in making this film?
Well, thank you so much, Nancy, for the kind comments. It's the biggest gratification you could get is hearing that somebody watched it and liked it. So thank you. The biggest challenge by far was making the elevator. It was a set that we built, and me personally, it was my first experience of building a set that we filmed an entire film in. So that by far was the biggest challenge. It felt like it took months of research. It felt like years of research, but it was probably months of research. Because we wanted to make the elevator very futuristic looking. You saw some of it there, very technologically advanced elevator. And so it was really coming up with a design that we were happy with, and then trying to figure out how we could achieve it on a very limited budget. And also we were very keen on making the elevator sort of come to life in a way. It's almost like a character in the film. So there are a lot of design elements that went into it that don't necessarily, you might not see when you're watching the film, but they really were essential to allow us to film it in a way that really brought it to life. So that was by far the biggest challenge. But also another challenge while we were filming was we were actually filming in a working car garage. So just behind the walls of the elevator, there's cars being worked on and all of the background noises that go with that. So we actually didn't record any sound on set. So all of the sound in the film has been added in afterwards, which was an interesting challenge, but also really a really fun one, because we got to completely make this whole atmosphere, which was just a brilliant challenge. And hopefully we achieved that. So.
Well done. It definitely does look like it's set in an elevator, and the sound was great. So, Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I know that you probably want to go get some sleep now so you can get an early start on watching films.
I'll be watching as long as I can stay up. Don't worry.
Okay. Our
Thank you so much.
Our next filmmaker comes to us from Lake Oswego, Oregon, which is just up the road from us, Steve Cowden. And Steve, I think you probably have one of the cutest films in the festival this year, Chocolate Cake and Ice Cream. It is in the animation screening, which is available January, my goodness, February 25th through the 28th. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks for having me, Nancy.
Filmmaking's not your background. Tell us what your background is and why did you choose to animate a film?
Sure. Well, I always loved making movies as a kid, but I chose a career in illustration, and I was a newspaper artist for over 20 years. And when newspapers kind of started struggling, I took up a position as a designer at the Port of Portland. And at the Port, I started learning some video production, and I produced their animated company annual holiday video card. So I did that for like 10 years. And so that kind of got me back into the movie making thing. And that experience really led up to the creation of Chocolate Cake and Ice Cream.
Well, let's take a look at the trailer and you decide if it's a cute film or not.
Chocolate cake and ice cream won't heal my broken heart.
Steve, of all the relationships in the world that you could animate, why did you choose a dog and a cat?
I really liked the unlikely friendship that a cat and a dog would have, and then I loved the homeless cat sort of befriending the pet dog, and that the movie's really about sort of a longing and separation, and I like that, the fact that they were friends but they weren't totally together, and then at the end they had this joyful reunion.
Well, will we be seeing more films from you?
I don't know. I mean, I think so. I just don't know what my next project's going to be. I have ideas, but nothing definitive right now.
Well, thank you for joining and talking about your film, and have a fabulous festival.
Thank you.
Our next filmmaker comes to us from McMinnville, Oregon, Natalie Welch. Her film is She Carries On, which screens in the Native American screening on February 20th to the 22nd. Welcome, Natalie. Tell us,
Nancy.
what does it mean to you to share Indigenous stories through film?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to the McMinnville Film Festival for having me and having our film. And I'm so excited to learn from the other filmmakers and just see all the films. I actually got to attend in person last year before everything got shut down. And I was so inspired by the Native American film category. And for me, telling Indigenous stories as Indigenous people is so crucial, because oftentimes our voices are just completely left out and underrepresented, and we're not able to tell our own stories. And traditionally, we were oral storytellers. We didn't keep records or do any fancy video or anything like that. And so it's been really powerful to see how impactful it can be to share these stories and provide records and provide things now that are artifacts for our tribes, and how important, as Jordan mentioned earlier, how important this is to our communities. And so it's just an honor to be able to do that and be able to kind of show people, like Jordan said, like, we're still here and we can tell our own stories.
So your film is about stickball. What is stickball, and did you actually play?
So I didn't play. I was completely intimidated. And the women that you'll see in my film, I was about in middle school. And so it was a little bit older generation, but I knew all these girls, and it was just so badass, honestly. Like, stickball is kind of like a mix between rugby and lacrosse, and there's no pads, they don't wear shoes, there's no real it's just a free-for-all, honestly. And it's the traditional game that honestly formed into lacrosse, what is modern day lacrosse now. And it's been played for before, colonization, and before time of, record keeping and score sheets and things like that. So it's goes way back and has such an important cultural tie too. It's not just a game, but the prep and the aftermath that is also a really important cultural part of our culture.
Well, let's take a look at the trailer so you can see what we're talking about.
It was played many, many years ago before the settlement of the Europeans that came to this country. Today we still keep the tradition going, and we try to keep it going, and we try to keep much of our traditions going.
We're doing something, even if it's not, we're not doing everything, we're carrying on our traditions somehow. So as he grows older, and my hope is that he'll continue to play until, he's an adult, and he'll be able to carry on those traditions.
So Natalie, do you see other Indigenous gender-based traditions changing to become all-inclusive?
Absolutely. Well, and I want to note that in most indigenous cultures, it's a matriarchal society where the women are the leaders. And the film talks about how, there was records of women playing, in the 1600s when missionaries were coming over to visit, and they were appalled by the women playing and being so, uncivilized. And so I think that a lot of our culture is just unlearning and decolonizing this thinking of men over women and just the gender kind of binary as well. We have a very, there's two-spirit people as well who aren't gender binary. And so I think that's another thing to think about too, is that really it's just about preserving our culture, but also being modern and being able to exist and tell our stories in this kind of modern world, and kind of that finding that balance. And I think that's a constant in everything that we try to do.
Well, it's a wonderful film, and I hope you tune in to the Native American screening. Again, it's February 20th through the 22nd. Thanks, Natalie, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Our next filmmaker comes to us from Los Angeles, California, Lena Georgas, and her film is A Mother's Love. It screens in the environmental block, which again, that starts as soon as we're off of our opening night. It starts tonight. And Lena, this is your first film. You're not traditionally a filmmaker, you're an actor, if I understand correctly. Tell us more about your background and how you came to making this particular film.
Hi, Nancy, and to everyone else who's watching. And I just want to echo everybody's sentiments of just saying thank you so much for organizing, for all the hard work that went into this festival. It shows. I've always been on the other side of the camera, but I've also always been involved in foundations and environmental issues. And for years, I've been trying to figure out how to couple my acting and my storytelling and my activism. And when the pandemic first hit, I had an idea for a poem. It just started off as a piece of writing, and it sort of took on its own life and its own story from there. But it was, a lot of people talk about how the story hit me, like it just chose me. And then I decided that I needed to tell it, not just to my journal.
So what is the connection? How did you put the poem into film?
I basically read it to some people in the industry that I respect and care about deeply. And one of my friends said, you need to turn this into something. It needs to happen. So with the help of Greg Yaitenes, who's an extraordinary TV and film director, and my friend Bill Barclay, who was the musical director for Shakespeare's Globe, he did the original sound, the original song for the piece to go along with it. And we had a wonderful editor in Brian Havelka to help splice all the images together.
It really is a beautiful film. I'm glad you put it together. So you mentioned you are involved with foundations. One particular one is the Wild Foundation. Tell us about that.
So yes, Wild Foundation, I've been on the board for about 4 years now. And right now we're facing 3 existential challenges. And I'm so proud. I was so happy to see Ramsey, because he spoke a lot about what the film is about, this relationship that we have with nature. And we are facing 3 existential challenges, which is climate change, the very real possibility of future pandemics, and the devastating loss of species that's happening almost on an hourly basis. And these 3 things, these 3 challenges and crises, they come back to one thing, which is our broken relationship with nature. And the best way that we can solve this is by protecting wild nature, restoring nature, and rewilding our world and rewilding ourselves, which is basically a fancy on-brand way of saying that we need to change our mindset. So the right relationship, if we talk about the broken relationship, the right relationship with nature is, according to Wild Foundation and science and indigenous peoples, is that nature needs half. We need to protect 50% of our planet by 2030, and that's the goal. So we're coupling old wisdom with new science, which basically says we need to share this earth. We do not own her. We are a part of it. We are in relationship with it. And I hope that's what my piece speaks to. And if any of these ideas that I'm talking about or the film that people are about to see, please visit wild.org and get involved. Join the survival revolution. We would love to have you.
Well, it sounds like a great organization, and thank you for letting us share the story. And as Ramsey did talk about, the environmental films are very relevant to today's situation. So thank you for joining us, Lena. I hope you enjoy the festival.
Thank you.
Our next film is She Had It Coming, a comedy that will screen in the Drama Comedy No. 5 screening, February 25th through the 28th. And we have 3 guests representing this fabulous, funny film. First up, we're going to talk to writer Anna Keizer, then actress Skylar, and then director Gedde Watanabe. Anna, let us start with you. What inspired you to write this particular story?
First of all, hi, Nancy, and thank you so much for doing this. This has been really incredible to get to hear about all these fantastic projects. So it's been awesome so far. Yeah, I mean, She Had It Coming. Like you said, it's a dark comedy. I think it started with just like my fascination that I've always had with like the afterlife and the paranormal. So that's kind of where the inklings of the idea came from. And then, you know, one thing I've just kind of seen in my life is that when somebody passes away, famous or not, there's kind of this like instant sainthood bestowed upon them, like regardless of how they actually were in life. And I just thought that was so interesting. And I wanted to kind of tell a story about what would happen if somebody who was perceived, at least, as being not the best person, you know, passed away, and if people were just honest about how they felt about that person. But then from that, it kind of evolved into a piece where, you know, it kind of shows that we all have this ripple effect on each other. We all impact each other's lives, even with like the tiniest decisions, the decisions that we think are just about ourselves and no one else. And so the piece just really kind of brings to a head all these different people who have made these choices and how they all kind of like bounce off each other and, you know, sometimes in great conflict.
Well, it's a very funny film that you definitely want to watch. Let's see the trailer and you make your decision.
The reason why you're here tonight, because Vivian Dean contacted Ronde and asked that we hold a seance for her. I'm a medium.
Vivian? Are you here?
Yes, bitches. I'm here.
Remember Katie Cabra's Sweet 16?
Cut the bullshit, Vivian. Everyone knows you and Rich were having an affair.
If we're telling the truth, why don't we tell the whole truth? You're sleeping with Rich, too.
What? Everybody, I didn't fucking fall down Ronde's freshly waxed stairs.
I was pushed down them.
What? No! I didn't kill you, Vivian. Why would I do that?
Don't you dare try and pin your death on me.
Sit down!
What are you worried about, Lindsay? That everyone will find out that you're the one who killed me?
So let's jump over to Skylar Shock, who is the actress in this very entertaining film, a wonderful cast it looks like. Skylar, what attracted you to playing this particular character, and how did you prepare for this role?
Also, I would be remiss, Nancy, if I did not also thank you for just such an incredible job. And it's been such a pleasure getting to hear everyone share their stories. So thank you. I mean, I first met the character Vivian when we did a full cold read of the script with Anna. And I just loved that, exactly what Anna said. There's this character that maybe on the page is deemed unlikable or has qualities that other people would kind of find unattractive in someone, and yet I just kept wanting to know like how her story was going to end, and I was just instantly attracted to her as a person, and I knew I had to play her, so that's kind of what caused Anna and I to produce the short. And then in terms of really preparing for the role, I think specifically in the short, kind of one of the most important things, as the trailer points to, is there's a lot of secrets, there's a lot of points of view each of the characters have about each other. And so for me, it became really important to make sure that I had incredible specificity for who Vivian, what she felt about each person, because every time she's on camera and any time we're seeing her reaction or secrets are being revealed, you know, so much of this is knowing that that you need to know what you think about each thing as it's happening and what's new news. And so being really specific with choices about her point of view and having varying degrees of what that might look like and how she's going to respond to all of the information that's coming up.
Yeah, I think it's the information that's being revealed that makes this just, you keep laughing and laughing and laughing. So well done. So, and our third member of this film, well, first of all, if anyone had ever told me growing up that I would be interviewing the incredible Gedde Watanabe, who is from John Hughes's film 16 Candles and one of my all-time favorites, I would have laughed in their face. And here I am. And Gedde, it is an honor to meet you, and thank you for being here today. Now, I understand this is the first time you've directed a film because you're always in front of the camera. Is that right?
That's true, yes. I had a lot of fun. I basically just kept it going as much as I could. Comedy, has to click. So I hope that my experience was available to them. I just had fun with them. That's all I wanted to do with the actors.
Do you like acting or directing better, or do you like them about the same?
I love actors, and I love acting, and I love directing. It's my life, so I don't know what is better. I think that directing is very exciting, but you've got to have a clear vision what to tell the actors. Basically, is what I was just a instrument helping them out, basically.
You're also involved in the East-West Players. Tell us about that organization.
Well, that's the Asian American Theater. It's the only one here in Los Angeles. I think there's a few, but they do some beautiful productions. And it gives Asian Americans, opportunities to do theater, do different kinds of plays that normally we wouldn't be cast at. So I'm very honored to be a part of that group.
So what's next for you?
Well, retirement. I don't.
You're too talented.
No. I am writing, and I do want to write and direct. It's something that is part of my my DNA. So I just want to see if I can, make something wonderful and funny.
Well, Anna, Skylar, and Gedde, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And She Had It Coming is in the drama comedy. It's on our schedule. You'll find it. It's great.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you. Our next guests are Matthew Wilson, who's joining us from Los Angeles, and Ryan Little, who is joining us from St. George, Utah. And they are going to talk to us about their film, Just Another Summer, which screens in the drama comedy number 6 block. And that's available February 26th through the 28th. Welcome, Ryan, and tell us a little bit about your film.
Well, it's called Just Another Summer, and we are excited to show at this awesome film festival. So thank you very much for letting us be a part of it. Just Another Summer is about 3 adopted brothers who every year get together at their mom's motel in Joshua Tree. But this summer is a little bit different because on the way there, they pick up a hitchhiker who is going to change everything about their relationship. So it's a fun movie. It's a slice of life movie. It's about relationships. It's about family, the importance of family. And it was a blast to make it. And just as a note, we finished this movie on the day they called the quarantine for COVID.
Oh my gosh.
We left Joshua Tree. It was like a ghost town.
Oh my gosh, that's incredibly fortunate. So,
yeah.
Well, let's take a look at the trailer for Just Another Summer.
Destiny's calling, guys.
Got my brand new summertime surfboard.
Hey there. Where are you headed?
Florida.
Oh, we're definitely not going to Florida. We can take you to Joshua Tree. Want a lift?
Yeah.
Hop in.
Our mom runs a little motel in Joshua Tree. When we were all kids, we'd go there with her every summer to camp and hike. It's kind of more like going home.
Life is so crazy. And if we get far enough from all of our problems, we'll see that they're just like super tiny and insignificant.
It's 6 o'clock now. I'm doing the dishes real slow.
Matthew, you are now in Los Angeles, but you are a McMinnville kid. How
Yes,
did
I
you
am.
come about getting into a film like this with this cast?
Well, I think that just the nutshell word that I want to say is community. In the film industry, in Los Angeles, even in New York, there's always just such a strong sense of community. And if you find yours, the better you will be for it. So I luckily landed into an amazing social circle with a bunch of awesome friends and talented people in the industry. They were already working in the industry, directors and actors. So all of the people in this film are all friends of mine. So I got to make a film with a bunch of my friends. So
most people think of movies and funding coming from a studio, but short films are not like that. Tell us about what you had to do to fund this film.
yeah, I mean, when you think about raising money for a film, when you have very little money for yourself, it's daunting. But I think, like I said with the last answer, community, that once you just put, a bat signal out there that you need help, or you want to, create a project, it's amazing and beautiful how many people will come out of the woodwork to help you financially or otherwise. So I went around getting donations before I even started the Kickstarter, and raised $10,000 before we even started the Kickstarter, just telling all of my friends in LA and Oregon and otherwise, and then did the Kickstarter, and and then it just went like that. So I guess what I want to say is that if you are trying to raise money for a short film, do not be overwhelmed. Everyone, there are people that want to help you out.
The crowdsourcing is a blessing to filmmakers these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, thank you, Matthew, for returning to us virtually. Ryan, thank you for joining us. And Just Another Summer, take a look at it.
Thank you, Nancy.
So now we jump over to New York, where Sarah Young joins us. Sarah's film is In Case We Get Found, which is in the suspense, horror, sci-fi block number 2, available February 26th to 28th. Sarah, welcome to the McMinnville Short Film Festival.
Hi, Nancy. It's a pleasure to be here.
So tell us about your background.
Well, I'm from Roseburg, Oregon, and I actually began my life in the arts as an opera singer, believe it or not, before I discovered my love of directing. And for a while, I was only directing operas and having a wonderful time with that. But over time, I started directing for theater. And most recently, I've become a filmmaker. This is actually my first professional film.
Well, it's a very powerful and amazing film, and you have a personal connection to telling the story. Can you share that?
Sure, I do. My father is a survivor of the Umpqua Community College shooting in 2015, which killed 10 people and injured 8 more. And in conversation with him about his experience, he spoke about him and his students were locked down for a long time, and they knew something terrible was happening, or maybe not. They didn't really know. They knew they were sensing the stress, but no actual info. And that was really interesting to me. I started to think about human nature under stress and our tendency to have all kinds of different reactions, fear, anger, disbelief, humor, everything. It runs the gambit. So I wanted to make a film about that, about people experiencing a horrible moment and what happens.
Well, let's take a look at the trailer.
I took a training seminar on this last year. The worst thing you can do is to deny what's happening.
Maybe it's not, or it's that.
The second worst thing you can do is hide where you might be trapped.
I was already in here.
The third worst thing is to panic. We did a lot of role playing with that.
I really have to pee.
The front doors are open. I came in around the corner and I thought I saw, but it could have been a shadow.
I want to be
the kind of person who spends her days in a big floppy hat, coaxing things to grow. But I hate dirt.
Maybe it'll rain.
Maybe it will.
Sarah, as I said, it's a really powerful film, and it's not a very long film, but you really give us a very, very strong message and get your point across. Will we see more films from you in the future?
Yes, thank you so much for asking and so much for having me at this festival. It's been really exciting. I am personally developing a pilot for a web series called Friends Can't Kiss that we're hoping to launch this spring. I just finished production on a short film called Counting, about an actress struggling with OCD and attempting to find her way through relationships and into grad school while fighting negative thoughts. And I actually just started a script for myself, writing a horror short. It'll be my first time writing my own script and directing, and I'm hoping to film that this summer and fall.
Oh, great. Well, we will look forward to those. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy the festival.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
So we're going to come back across the country to just south of us in Ashland, Oregon, and talk to Abram Katz. And Abram actually has 2 films in this year's festival. Today we're going to talk to him about his documentary, High School Reflections 2019, which will screen in the documentary block February 25th through the 28th. Abram, tell us about your background and how you came about to make this film.
Well, my background as a filmmaker honestly started out about 15 years ago with young kids in Oakland, California. Technology has always kind of been related to working with youth, working with young people to help them express and develop their voice. Like a child, I get really bored quickly, so recorded a few bands and did my thing, and then I just said, okay, now I need to connect with a larger community and create stuff. So that's kind of where my background, where all of this kind of stems from.
Great. Well, let's take a look at the trailer for High School Reflections 2019.
The entire mass project, I hated every second of it. It was like, I didn't understand it. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to care about it. And then, but now just seeing the video, and like, I truly just got to see a side of people and like the throw and callous room that I don't really get to see because we're not like really like all outside friends. We're like, the most time we spend with each other is in the classroom, and like to be able to see that part of everyone else when it's like not like a classroom environment, which is really weird, but at the same time it's just kind of like it's like a surreal feeling just to see like how someone else is, which is interesting. But and also I just want to say like thank you for like just make me feel that way for some, like I don't know like how I feel right now, but it's a good feeling.
Thanks for sharing that.
Kind of chokes you.
Huh?
It kind of chokes you.
Yeah.
Slapped in the face with all of this, and like me being like super like empathic, like just feeling all of it around you.
Yeah.
It's like seeing that, and it's so weird, but it's so good. And, like slaps you in the face.
Yeah.
It's like a good feeling.
I wanted to speak a little bit to what Sunrun was saying. You said like I don't know exactly what I'm feeling, but it feels good. In my experience, the part of it that feels good is that connectivity, the empathy in it, the like realization that there's a universal human experience happening and we all have gifts to give. I couldn't have edited that movie unless you did your freestyle poetry piece, unless you and I found your poems from last year and printed them out and gave them to you in real time, because she, you know, like all of us work together as this team. And so it's not like, it's not anybody, it's one achievement, it's all of our collective achievements.
Abram, it looks like you're actually filming while the class is going on. Tell us about that.
Yes, well, originally the idea for this film came from some of the parents who said they wished they knew
why the kids came out of there so happy every time. What the heck am I doing in there? What are we doing with them that makes them feel so alive? It was a piece kind of to show the community the type of work we're doing, and also, I guess, like a byproduct of announcing that we're going to make a film out of their 6-week workshop there, was basically there was a lot of buy-in from the students and a lot of mutual belonging and support and all the good stuff that we strive for that kind of happened instantaneously the moment we said, we're going to film this and it's going to be eternal, and your expressions, are going to help uplift the spirits of other young people around the world. They really dropped in. So I would say it was a surprise to me, but the filming part added to the class itself and deepened it. So it's kind of like something I'd like to replicate moving forward, is having a dynamic, and high-end film component to some of these workshops in schools.
And the Reflections program is available to schools when we can get back in person, that is, but is it going to continue being offered then?
Absolutely, it's my passion. As I said, I'm going on year 15, and I have a degree in audio engineering and a lot of experience with producing film. And my favorite thing is hanging out in the classroom with misfit teenagers and talking about our feelings. It's just my happy place. So interestingly, during this time, I've gone back and forth and tried out a few online things, and the authentic expression piece, the sincerity piece, it's really hard to translate online. I was saying to a friend, most of the learning and healing happens in the in-between moments when we're just hanging out and they feel validated and I feel, excited to be part of that transformational process. It's the invisible stuff that's where all the good juju is. So unfortunately, at the moment, we've just kind of called it. And I am open and ready to do this program internationally, and was planning on it last February as everything shut. So we got I have all the gear, all the boxes, all the curriculum printed up, ready to go in boxes and storage. So let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Well, it's a very touching, a very moving film, and I really encourage everyone to watch it. And thank you for letting us showcase your film. Abram, thank you for joining us, and enjoy the festival.
Thanks for having me be part of this. Talk about belonging. Now I have a whole crew of friends. Thank you.
Exactly. So thank you. Okay, now we're going to jump back across the country to New York, where Charly Wenzel joins us. Her film is Pause, and Pause shows in the experimental / a bit strange screening, which starts tonight after we get off of our opening night. Charly, welcome to the McMinnville Short Film Festival.
Hi, Nancy. Thank you so much for having me.
So your film is one of the films that was actually filmed during the lockdown last spring, during the when the pandemic first started. Tell us, why did you choose to make this film?
So I'm a dance artist based in New York City, and I'm used to a very active lifestyle. So I was used to performing 6 shows a week, jumping from rehearsal to class, interacting with so many people on a daily basis. And all of a sudden, everything shut down, and I found myself inside, isolated. And it was just this shock to the system where, like as artists, I feel like the way we process like major life events is through creating art about it. And right away, I felt inspired to create something to express, what we were going through. And as isolating as it was, we were all in this together. So it was this weird sense of also connecting to people across the globe who were going through the same thing, and especially connecting to artists. And I was really thinking about all my artists around the world who couldn't, practice their craft and perform for an audience and share their work. So I really wanted to also create an opportunity for other artists to express themselves, and, was for me to check in, hey guys, how are you feeling? And in the end, I used those contributions from artists from all around the world to create this collage.
It's a really beautiful film. Let's show the trailer so everyone can see it. So Charly, you mentioned the artists came from all around the world. How did you connect with them?
So the great thing about being in New York and have been here for almost 20 years is you meet artists from all around the world. A lot of them have gone back to their countries by now, but pretty much everybody who's contributed to the film I have collaborated with in some way in the past. And I've always been a part of projects that were collaborations of artists from different disciplines. So that kind of gave me this network. So all I had to do is put a post on social media and the contributions started coming in, which was such a healing thing for me during that time too, to get like all this beautiful work. So again, thank you to all the artists that contributed, because without them, there wouldn't be a film.
Yeah, it's really quite beautiful. And as a performing artist, and you've talked about this, with it being, a lot of the theaters are closed and you cannot be in public and all, what does it mean to you to be able to share your art?
I've been thinking about this a lot, especially now, and like what really is the inspiration, what gives me life, especially because I had the pleasure to perform in a show in the last 4 years that was transformative to our audiences and also transformative to me as an artist, to see an audience coming in one way and leaving a different way, basically being changed through the performance they just saw. That's really, I realize, is the ultimate goal. I want to change my audience from one thing to another thing. That could be something they weren't thinking about after watching the performance, they're actually thinking about, or changing their perspective or making them feel a certain way. But whenever there's a change, I feel like I did my job, right? So like to be changed is like to be alive, and that kind of connects us as in humanity, and that's what the arts in general do. And with, everything being online, you don't have that feedback right now. You don't have the conversation with the audience that you would in a theater. So I really miss that at the moment.
We miss that too. And we hope to maybe bring some films back for an encore presentation this summer via drive-ins, if nothing else. And because it is so important to have the films in front of an audience, just like whether you're performing dance or stage or whatever, that art is there. You need that feedback. So
absolutely.
Charly, thank you so much for joining us. And Pause is a wonderful film. Please make sure you watch it. Now we're going to come back to McMinnville with Karla Contreras. And Karla is the director of Azteca Dance, which is in our locals block. And Karla, welcome. Now, Karla, we went through the entire opening night with everyone unmuting, and now I have to say to please unmute yourself.
I am so sorry.
You're okay.
You could read my lips.
So, Karla, tell us about how you came to filmmaking.
Okay, before anything, I want to say thank you for doing this wonderful festival, and thank you for having us. Thank you for picking Azteca Dance. And okay, answering your question, I started my journey as a fashion designer and basically as a designer. But I always wanted to do animation, always. So when I get here to the United States, so I enrolled to the multimedia design, and that's how I fall in love with the camera. That was my first step. So I finished my degree, and I moved to Portland, and I started studying video production. So this film that you're gonna see is my first film ever, and I definitely love doing this because I always wanted to express what I feel or what I wanted to do through my art. But now there is another way, and I think this is more powerful because not everybody understands art the same way. But when you see a movie, you can really touch bases. You can really put whatever you wanted the people to see. So that's how I started. So this is my first film, and I'm very, very excited, very happy with the results, actually.
So this film is in our locals block because it's about a local group. Many of us around here have seen these dancers perform. How did you happen to choose this particular group to talk about?
To be sincere with you, I was thinking about traveling to Mexico because in Mexico there is 1,000 of people who doing this. But just one day, just watching social media, I saw them dancing, and I just fall in love with the art they do, because not just they dance, but they do everything. They work on all what you're gonna see on the documentary. Pretty much everything is made by themselves. So when I talk to them and I see that they wear the whole package because they dance, but also they do the art. So I just fall in love with what they were doing. So I asked them if they wanted to be part of the Azteca dance documentary. They say yes, and yeah, I guess we get something beautiful. I hope you guys like it.
It really is beautiful. Let's take a look at the trailer.
All right.
So Karla, what's next for you? What's your next subject going to be in film?
I'm working on a script right now. I am halfway. I'm hopefully finished by spring is what I am thinking, and start raising money. So it's gonna be a feature. I decided to not work in shorts anymore. So I'm gonna go I'm gonna do the big step. And yeah, my goal is just raising money. It's not gonna be easy, I know that, but I'm just getting ideas right now.
Well, you need to connect with Matthew because he seems to have it down. So there we go.
Oh, okay, good. That sounds great, Matthew. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and happy festing.
Thank you very much, Nancy.
So now we're going to head down south to Deanna Ableswi. I hope I said that right. And she's coming to us from Rancho Palos Verdes in California. She's going to talk about her film Black Coffee, which is in the Drama Comedy #5 screening, February 25th through the 28th. Deanna, welcome.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate everything you've done. It's been so wonderful to work with you guys. Just incredible. So thanks, triple thanks.
Well, thank you. And now this is your first film. How did you come about making a film?
Well, I'm a teacher, and one of the things I teach, my main thing I teach is theater and writing. So I've been involved in the theater business kind of the whole time. And this play has been, well, when it was a play, it was all around the world, and it's in anthologies and stuff like that. And it really resonated with people. And we had some downtime, and we had just a perfect match of the people that I wanted to play the parts. And I said, let's try this. And we just went ahead and tried it. And it was a delightful experience. And I just can't wait to learn so much more about this amazing world. I'm in awe of like these filmmakers that I'm seeing and everything they're doing. It's just, it blows me away.
Well, you worked with a very young cast and crew, and your director was only 18 years old, which blew me away because I didn't know that till after I watched this film. So what was it like to work with such a young crew and cast?
It was very interesting. As a teacher, I just kind of took on a teacherly role. And I did a lot of research, you know, becoming the producer, becoming the set designer, becoming the casting director, and kind of taking on all the non-active, like filming type roles. And I just kind of crossed my fingers and I said, well, you know, it's a simple enough film. We're going to do this in one day. It's just going to be a shoot. And, you know, it'll be something for posterity for my daughter is kind of what I thought. I thought, oh, it'll be fun. It'll be posterity for my daughter. But it was like hanging out with high school and first year college kids, and they're just in full out party mode and relax and like, yeah, let's just do this and this and this and this and this. And I'm just like, okay, well, I hope they're doing it correctly because I don't know what I'm doing either. So we're all just going to cross our fingers and work together and hope it speaks for itself, which obviously, thank God, it has.
It truly does. Let's take a look at the trailer.
killing me not to be kissing you right now.
Excuse me?
I knew I shouldn't have said that. I knew I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. I knew
It's okay.
I don't know what got into me. I was just sitting here minding my own business, and you were sitting there looking so.
Oh, you weren't actually serious, were you?
No. It's okay. You're right. It's been a long day. So again, I apologize. Please get back to your coffee, or tea, or cafe latte, or mocha.
No, it's just coffee. Plain. No cream. No sugar. No ice blended. No frappe matcha.
It definitely came together, Deanna, so don't worry about that. What challenges did you face in making this film? I believe the set alone, it was a challenge?
The set alone was probably the biggest challenge, because that's my living room. And we had all in place. We had interviewed a whole bunch of coffee shops in the area and found this perfect, very homely coffee shop, which was what we kind of wanted. And everything was all set. And as we started getting down to contracts, they'd completely backed out. And I had my actors set. I had everything set to go. And my director said, well, maybe you could rewrite it and it'll be like a house thing. And I'm like, no, like, this is my baby. Yeah, let's just kind of stick with it. And so we're like, okay, what can we make this look like? And we just transformed my living room into one of those really homey looking coffee shops, and it worked out, put up some art and all that. And then I guess the other challenge is just learning about this whole world, about permits and this and like things that I never honestly, I was like, well, you just film a film. And so it was a crash course in filmmaking. And like I had said in one of the other talks, I would love to go learn more about the world of film, and hopefully I can do that online somehow or through some sort of program when I have the time. But it was such a fun experience, and I'm hoping to continue.
Well, just keep connecting with other filmmakers. I think sometimes you learn the best from other filmmakers. So, well, Deanna.
Yes, I have been in awe.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the festival.
Thank you so much for everything. I appreciate all your kindness and support.
Thank you. Our final film that we are going to talk to you about today is Aida in Between. And the actress from the film is with us today from Japan, which is actually tomorrow for her. Kiko Wilson is here. Welcome, Kiko.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's been amazing listening to all the filmmakers and just seeing their trailers for the films. I can't wait to watch the films, and it's just so great to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm so glad you're able to join us. And I should say that Aida is in the drama comedy number 4 block, which is available February 23rd through the 25th. So tell us how you came by the role of Kyoko.
Yes. Okay. So I have been a singer and actress here in Japan, based here. I was born in northern Japan, and I've been working here for about 15 years. And so the director, producer, and writer, he does everything. He's amazing. Chris Graham, he had actually worked with my dad on a film called Noble Fur, and they actually shot it in Oregon. Yep. And so I actually had the chance to go out and be there with them for that for just a short period. And so I had seen how Chris and his team worked, and I knew like kind of his style of working and what kind of stories he wanted to tell. And so when he and his wife were living in Tokyo, and he came up with the idea for Aida and talked to me about it, it was just an automatic yes for me. And so, yeah, and just hearing about the story as well as the character, and just how it was just the story such filled with hope and with trying to really authentically tell the story of people that live in Japan, and especially women that live in Japan, it was an automatic yes for me.
And the in-between is because you're trying to raise your child and take care of your mother. So
right.
Were you able to draw on experience with that?
Yes and no, I would say. A lot of my work has actually been in the educational field as well. So I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of women and families here and hear their experiences. So that was it was such an honor to be able to kind of represent in a way, even though I personally don't have kids, but I don't have kids, but to be able to pull from those experiences and hopefully represent something that they go through, especially, I don't know how much I can say about the film, so I'm kind of thinking about my words right now, but there's certain elements to the film that definitely a lot of people in Japan, they're going through right now. And so, so definitely being here, having those conversations with these women and these families, I was able to pull from that. And
Well, let's take a look at the trailer.
Okay.
すやすやとおやすみなさいねんねんよおころりよまさしい人に育ちますように神様ありがとうエンゼルもありがとうねんねんよおころりよママの胸でおやすみなさい
So Kiko, the entire film is set in Japan. It's in Japanese, but your director, Chris, doesn't speak Japanese. How did that work?
Right. It was actually super, super easy. The whole cast was bilingual. And also Chris really had this heart of understanding of the subtleties and the details to Japan and to the culture here. So it wasn't really an issue at all. And I worked a little bit on translating the script. So I was able to kind of get those nuances in the script as well. And yes, it was a really amazing experience.
Well, it's a beautiful film. I hope everybody watches it. So thank you for joining us and happy festing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So, wow. I don't even know what to say. Amazing films. I'm wondering how many of you tuned off and jumped over to start buying your tickets. And if you haven't, then go now. Well, okay, wait till I finish and then go, because there's really 127 really amazing films. If you enjoyed the artwork that I've been sitting in front of, that is original artwork by 18-year-old Camille Lubach, who is a Linfield University student. She created our art for us this year, and it's been used in all of our marketing. It is available for bidding on ebid.net, and you can go place your bid, and those funds are part of the fundraiser for us here at the festival. It's a beautiful watercolor, so I hope you take a look. And speaking of funding, we could not be here without our grant partners and without our businesses who are supporting us. It was an incredibly difficult year to do fundraising, and we are so blessed to have these places step up and help us out. And along with those sponsors come individual donors like you. And if you feel like you can contribute to ensure the return of the film festival for 2022, and again, hopefully in person, we would appreciate any donation. Every dollar counts, so thank you in advance. So that concludes our opening night, our festival preview. Thank you so much for joining us and celebrating our 10-year anniversary with us. Happy festing.